Hey, thanks for watching. My name is Christine, aka Woman Walking a Wire. I'm doing a tutorial today on how to make this No Kings patch. We're using worsted weight yarn and a 4mm hook. You need small quantities of yellow, red, white, and black. And you also need 2 stitch markers, optionally a glue gun, and your yarn needle, and scissors, obviously. Okay, so this patch in the materials that I listed is about 3¼ inches in diameter. Looks really cool if you do it in a DK weight, and embroidery thread would be cool as well, but I don't know what the dimensions of those are. So let's get started. We're going to start with the crown. So we need our yellow first. My yellow. And I'm going to start by chaining 11. Okay. And beginning in the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet, and we're going to single crochet in every chain for a total of 10 stitches. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn to the back side, and we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. This part is called the crown band. It's just how it's referred to in the pattern. The pattern is free and available in my Ravelry shop, and I will put a link in the comments in case you don't want to follow along to a video. And one more. Okay, and now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to turn our work. And then working down this chain, we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. We're going to slip stitch into that chain, and then we're going to single crochet into the next, and half double into the next, and double crochet into the last chain there. And we're going to skip the first 2 stitches here. So 1, 2, and we're going to slip stitch into that third one. And we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to do a slip stitch. And in the next, we're going to do a single crochet and a half double into the next, and a double into the next. We're going to do an extended double into the next. If you don't know how to do that, it's real simple. So here we go. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's just an extended double crochet. And in the last chain, we're going to do a treble. And then we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into that next one. And then we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And starting in the second chain from the hook, slip stitch, single crochet, half double, and double into the last chain. And I've already fastened off my tail, but hold on. And then we're gonna skip 2 and we're gonna slip stitch in the last stitch here. If you are going to use hot glue to attach your crown to the back circle, then you can go ahead and do a short tail and just fasten that off. But if you are going to sew it onto the back circle, then give yourself about 18 inches of finishing tail so that you can sew that onto the back circle. I am going to obviously hot glue mine on, so I'm going to pause and I'm going to weave my tails in real quick. And then next we're going to need white for our back circle. All right, so here's my finished little crown with my tails woven in, and I'm just going to put that off to the side until we finish our back circle. So grab the white, and we're going to start with a magic ring, and we're going to chain 3 from that magic ring. That's going to count as our first double crochet, and then we're going to do 11 double crochet into the magic ring. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, plus my starting chain 3, that should be 12. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Go ahead and pull your ring tightly closed. Maybe a little tighter. There we go. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this chain 3 to join. So we have 12 for round 1 there. And we're going to go ahead and chain 3. That's going to count as the first double crochet of our round 2. And we're going to double crochet into that same stitch. And then we're going to do 2 double crochet into each stitch around. And I'm going to go ahead and pause while we make 2 double crochet in each stitch around. And I will meet you in the last stitch. All right, I just finished my last double crochet there, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of this chain 3 to join, and that is the end of round 2. We have a total of 24 stitches. We're going to do one more round with this white. We're going to chain 3 again for round 3, and again you're going to double crochet into that same stitch and then double crochet into the next. And then we're going to do a repeat of 2 double crochet into the next and 1 double crochet into the next. So 2 into the next. And then 1 double crochet into the next. We're going to continue that all the way around, 2 into the next. And then 1 into the next. And I'm going to pause. We're going to do that in each. We're going to do that repeat all the way around, and I will meet you back here at the end. Okay, I'm almost done with round 3 here. I'm going to do 1 more double crochet into this last stitch, and then you can either slip stitch to the first to the top of this chain 3 to join, or you can do an invisible join, which is always my preference at the end of a color. So we have 36 stitches for the end of round 3 here, and before we move on to the next part, we need to secure the crown to the back circle. So I've already got my glue gun heating up here, but you can either glue or you can sew the crown onto the back circle. But sorry about that. Before you do now, I like to cover up all of these slip stitches from ending the rounds, so I like to stick my applique right on top of that. You want to make sure before you fasten it down that your crown isn't overlapping and getting in the way of any of these exterior stitches because we're going to be working into these stitches. So I'm going to take a second to glue my crown on, and then we will go into the no symbol. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so my crown is now securely attached to my back circle here. And now we're going to just set this aside for a second while we grab our red. And we're going to start, here, let me get that out of the way for a minute. We're going to start with a chain of 15. And then we're going to look and make sure that, because, you know, there's variances with different materials. We're going to make sure that that is a good fit across the diameter of our circle there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I'm going to grab my back circle, and this should be like straight across. That's perfect. Okay, but if yours, and remember, so it's a chain of 15, but it's going to end up being 14 single crochet. So I'm going to lose just a little bit of height right here, but I'm also going to work into the top of that stitch on this end and on this end when we do the circle around. So you want it to be like exactly diameter with the chain. You'll lose a little bit of height when we do the single crochets, but that's okay. Now, if you are a little longer, take one chain out. If you are a little too short, add one chain, add one single crochet. So we're going to go ahead and starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. This is just going to sit right on top, and then we're going to crochet it into place. So the count on this chain does not matter very much. It just matters that it's not too loose and it's not too tight across the top of your patch there. Okay, almost there. All right, and that is 14. And then I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm actually just going to take my hook out for a minute. Now grab your stitch markers, and you want to decide how you want to have your slash going across. It can be like this, it can be a little more like this. Actually, I think we're going to do it a little bit more like this time to kind of show all the spikes of my crown there. So I'm going to go ahead and just over this stitch, this last stitch that I made, I'm just going to go ahead and secure that in place. Okay, and then I'm going to count 18 stitches from that stitch. So I'm not counting sorry, not counting the stitch we just marked, and we're going to count 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that 18th stitch there is where I want to pin the other end of the slash in place. Let me just make sure I didn't accidentally go into a different stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. Okay, so that's where I want it to be. And like I said, it's up to you how you want to position it. It can be a little more this way, it could be a little more the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my hook back in here, and working through over this stitch here and through the stitch behind it on the back circle, Okay, now I can take that stitch marker out. We're going to do an increase. So 2 single crochet right over that last stitch of the slash and into that stitch behind it on the back circle. Okay. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 17 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I think that's like from my hot glue. Where was I? 11? Man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And then again, we're going to work over this last stitch here and into the stitch behind it that it's held to. We're going to do an increase. So 2 single crochet right over and into that stitch there. That wasn't glue, that was cat hair this time. All right. So this is in place. So we're going to single crochet the next 17 stitches. And at the end of this round of red, I do like to do a long tail so that I can make just a few stitches to tack down the slash that goes across, just so it doesn't catch on anything, because I really do use these as patches, and I put them on hats and I put them on vests and things like that. So I don't want it to get caught up on anything and snag that slash. So I do take the tail of my red and just do a few stitches along the slash to tack it down to give it better security. Okay, so that was 17. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a long tail. And I'm also going to do an invisible join here. You could slip stitch to join if you'd like. Doesn't matter. However you like. All right. So let me show you what I mean by tacking this down. First, let me do my invisible join. Get this tail out of the way. And if I was smart, I would have just worked over this tail, but I wasn't thinking about it until it was too late. All right, we're almost done. All right, so tacking it down, I'm just gonna take my tail and I'm going to just work some stitches through both pieces, and then sometimes through all 3 pieces when you get to the crown. So it'd be through the crown, through the slash, through the back circle, just to keep it secured. Also, who knows, like if I put this on a vest, I might wash it, maybe. And I wouldn't want it getting snagged on anything if I was washing it. So tacking it down is important for longevity. I'm using acrylic, but if I was going to be using this on something I was washing frequently, and see, I kind of came to a place here where I had too much hot glue, so I couldn't get my needle through. It's fine. So just, you know, work around it. I would probably want to use cotton yarn if I was putting this on something that I really was going to be washing pretty frequently. just to give it more security. Okay, so we're gonna grab our black. I'm actually gonna weave my ends just a little bit and grab my black, and then we'll finish this off. All right, so now I have my black, and we can start in any stitch here. I like to start at the bottom, and we're gonna just be working into the back loops only. So I'm just gonna pull my black through the back loop here, and then we're going to slip stitch into the back loop only of each stitch around. And I do want you to go really loose on this, because if you go too tight, it's going to start to curl. So we're just going to loosely slip stitch in the back loop only all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and pause, and then I'll show you how to finish this off. All right, I'm almost back to the beginning. So this is where I pulled my yarn through, but it wasn't my first slip stitch. The first slip stitch was in the next one. So my last slip stitch is here. I'm going to go ahead and fasten off. And this is like an invisible join for slip stitches. Which is, I'm sorry, it's really hard to see in black, so I'll just try to bring it up really close. So here's the first slip stitch that I made. I'm going to go ahead and put the yarn or needle behind that stitch like this. Okay. And I'm going to pull that through. And I'm going to pull it tight. And then right here at the very top of the last slip stitch that I made, I'm going to go directly down the center and through the back, and I'm going to pull that tight, and that really finishes it off with a seamless look. All right, so there's 3 ways of attaching patches that I know: sewing it on, gluing it on, and then also using iron-on transfer paper. And that is what I have. Hang on, I'll show you. I got a big roll of this no-sew heat and bond ultra hold iron-on adhesive paper, and it comes in this gigantic roll. And so basically it has like a tacky side, and then it has this paper side, and I cut it out. I cut it to shape, and then the tacky side, you heat transfer the back of your patch to that, and then once it's cooled, you pull the paper off the back, and then you can stick it down onto the surface that you're going to attach it to, and then you would iron transfer that onto that surface as well. One thing I have learned about using that is you want whatever you're heat transferring to be bone dry. So like, don't block a piece and then immediately go to iron-on transfer. It's going to be completely ruined. And I learned that the hard way. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and pass these out. Put it on your jacket, put it on your hat. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.